Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing another episode of the Complete Marvel Rivals Guide. My name is Kearless, and if you don't know me already, I am a two-time Peak Eternity player and continue to play this game to this very day. It's nice to meet you. This is the Complete Marvel Rivals Guide. It is a series where I will be posting every single day going over high-level concepts that you should be utilizing in your own games if you want to improve. My overall goal with this series is to help a ton of people to achieve their peak ranks. And without any further ado, let's get into it. On screen now, I'm going to put up the complete lesson guide, so if you guys ever wanted to choose a lesson that you're not super comfortable on, I'm going to put that on screen now so you can go ahead and pick one. First of all, before we start the video today, thank you so much for 50 subs. It's a great milestone-ish, I don't know if you can call it that, but just thank you guys. So last lesson we covered threat mapping, and we learned to identify what can kill us and where the threats come from and how those threats actually change throughout the fight. But there's kind of a problem. You can't properly map these threats if you don't know where the enemy is or what they're planning on doing. So you can't really make the right decisions if you don't know what's happening around you. And this kind of goes into the idea of information gathering. Information gathering is actively collecting information about both teams before and during a fight so you can make a better decision. You're constantly trying to answer the questions of like, where is everyone? What resources do they have? What are they trying to do? And what is likely to happen next? The information gathering ends up turning into more decision making instead of guessing. So information is a resource, and I want to think back to resource management. The information itself is super valuable. Imagine two players with identical aim, mechanics, positioning, and even hero knowledge, but one player knows where all 6 enemies are. That player ends up having a huge, massive advantage. Pretty much what I want to say is the more you know, the less you have to guess. So you might be asking, what information should I even be gathering? You don't need to know absolutely everything. You just want to focus on the information that actually changes your decision making. And I want to stress that this is different for every single character. So I'm just going to list some important ones, but this is not all of them, and these are just the general ones, so they might not even pertain to your character. So some important ones to note are enemy positions, teammate positions, missing enemies, health, cooldowns, ultimates, objective status, team composition, and respawns. I want you to think of the question as kind of being not what information exists, but instead what information actually matters right now to me. Now I'm going to go over each of those examples that I just mentioned. So first, the enemy position, probably the most important one, to be honest, and it consists of constantly trying to build a picture of where the enemy team is. You don't need to physically see everyone like simultaneously, but you need to be updating pretty much their like approximate locations throughout the fight, or just picturing where they would be. So like if you see the Groot on main, the Punisher on high ground, the Luna Snow behind the Groot, the Mantis right next to the Luna, and the Venom is engaging on your front line, but you haven't seen the Psylocke, that missing Psylocke is valued information, and that actually matters. This goes into our next one, which is missing information is information. This is something I'd pretty much emphasize heavily. If you only seen 5 enemies, you want to ask yourself, where is the 6th enemy? If the Psylocke hasn't appeared, she might be flanking, she might be setting up, she might be waiting for your attention to move elsewhere before she dives in. You don't exactly know where she is, but knowing that you don't know is still useful and you can still prepare. Checking around you is a really simple habit, but it's really strong. You just want to look around. Players constantly tunnel vision and they stare at whatever they're shooting at, and then they forget that the rest of the game even exists. So between engagements, you should check behind you, look at your supports, check high ground, check flanks, look at the teammate, look at the scoreboard for even a second, because you might be using that to understand where the enemy might be positioned. And all of this stuff pretty much takes like less than a second. You don't only want to track the enemies, but your teammates are information too. So you should be asking, where are my supports? Is my tank ready? Is my flanker set up? Can my team actually see me? Or is there somebody else that is still coming back from spawn? All of these things are helpful information. So for example, if you're on Venom and you see an incredible dive opportunity and that the enemy Luna Snow is isolated and you dive, but your team is still rotating, then you'll end up dying. So the opportunity looked good, but because you were missing the information that you didn't know where your teammates were, you missed the good opportunity. So here I want to emphasize that a good opportunity with incomplete information can easily become a terrible play. The kill feed gives you information as well. It gives you so much free information, so you should use it. It tells you who died, which team has numbers on the enemy team, and sometimes it tells how they died. It tells which ability that the enemy team used, whether you should push or retreat. It tells you literally so many things, and players often continue fighting without even realizing that they're in a 4v6. And you don't need to see something to know what's happening. Like, there are so many audio cues in the game. Like, you can listen for the ultimate voice lines, ability, movement, footsteps is really simple, or fighting behind you if the enemy is attacking. The audio in this game can actually tell you so much about the threats on the enemy team before you even see them. And now we're going to go back to lesson 11 a little bit, and we're going to talk about cooldown information. So when you see an ability being used, you can remember it. You just gained information. So if the enemy uses an escape, now you know that they're vulnerable and they don't have that defensive cooldown or that cooldown to help them survive. And even better yet, if they use a defensive cooldown on top of that, you know that that resource isn't available, so they're even more vulnerable. You don't need to memorize the exact timers for everything, but just start with noticing like, oh, they used an important ability here, so now I can go in. Like if the Bucky uses his hook or maybe his punch, then you know, okay, this Bucky doesn't really have anything to stop me from diving. Ultimate information is also something that we've already talked about. This was in lesson 12, and you should be asking, who hasn't ulted recently? Who is dealing enough damage or healing enough to likely have their ultimate? Or which ultimates did they use last fight? Sometimes you don't really even need to know for certain, and that's okay. You're good with working with probabilities. You just want to slightly overshoot what you're sitting at because you want to guess that they likely have their ultimate and be wrong, instead of thinking that, oh, they definitely don't have their ultimate and then be wrong, because then they have an ultimate that you didn't even plan for. So good decision making doesn't require perfect information, but even guessing still helps. And before even committing to the fight, you can take a quick mental scan to prepare yourself before the fight even starts. So ask yourself, where's my team? Where's their team? Who's missing on my team? Who's missing on their team? What important resources has been used for my team and theirs? And what could happen if I engage? And you don't need to spend 10 whole seconds doing this. Just try to do it quickly before those cooldowns come back, and eventually it'll almost happen automatically. Now, gathering information during a fight is much, much harder, so I'm going to try to explain it a little simpler. Your attention is divided between so many different things, such as aim, movement, abilities, health, enemies, your teammates, even the objective, and that's why information gathering has to become kind of like a habit, and that every few seconds you update the picture of the fight and who has the advantage and who doesn't have the advantage. This is the most important section, and its information changes your decisions. And information is useless if it doesn't even change what you do. So like if you discover that the Spider-Man is behind you, then maybe you should save your escape or move towards your team or stop taking a super aggressive angle, or even just telling someone on your team like a support. If you don't do anything about it though, then that Spider-Man is going to dive you, and then you're just going to get screwed. So you need to act upon this information as well. And another example is that the enemy White Fox uses her TP to escape, and what changes? Your team becomes more aggressive in this, and in turn you guys get the kill on the White Fox. So it kind of goes from information to decision and then to action. And you don't have to gather everything that yourself. Your teammates should be communicating with you because your teammates should obviously be picking up information too. So simple callouts like Psylocke left or Spider-Man behind or White Fox no TP, Punisher on high ground, anything like that. Even like if the Venom is coming back, now the information that is gathered by one player becomes accessible to everyone on the entire team, and that makes everyone really, really powerful. And I don't want you to overload yourself. This is something that I think is going to probably mess a lot of you guys up, is that you shouldn't be tracking everything all the time until it becomes habitual. So you don't want to tell the lower ranked player who has no idea what I'm talking about that you need to track 12 different cooldowns, 6 ultimates, 12 positions, spawn timers, health, objective, and everything simultaneously. Then the low ranked player, he's literally just going to explode. First, you need to start small and track one thing at a time, and then additionally over on you add more and more and more, and then it becomes automatic, and then by the time that comes automatic you just add more and more. So this connects directly to what we'll eventually cover in mental stack later on, but we're not going to get into that today. And now the common mistakes that I see on lower ranked games are tunnel visioning, only looking at the enemy that you're attacking, ignoring teammate positions, ignoring the kill feed, forgetting missing enemies, not using their audio cues, gathering information but not even acting on it, and then trying to track way too much information at once. And a couple of questions that you should ask yourself are, throughout the fight, you should be asking, where is my team? Where is the enemy? Who is missing? What cooldowns were just used? What ultimates should I expect? What changed in the last few seconds? And does that information even change what I do? And of course, I got the homework for you guys. For your next 5 games, focus on just one simple habit. So every few seconds, briefly look away from whatever you're attacking and gather one new piece of information. Check either your teammates or the flank or the kill feed, the enemy position, and then you should ask, does this information change what I should do? And don't try to track everything yet. The goal is to simply break the tunnel visioning and start deliberately gathering information. I think one of the biggest differences as you climb is how much of the game you're actually seeing. The lower ranked players might be completely focused on the person that they're fighting, while the higher ranked players are fighting that person while also thinking about where the supports are, who's missing, what cooldowns are used, blah blah blah. And you don't suddenly gain the ability to track everything, but you deliberately practice gathering information until those checks become automatic, and that's what puts you at the higher level. So information gathering tells us what's happening right now, but the next step is learning what to do when the information changes. And in lesson 21, we're going to be covering adaptation, and that's how to recognize what the enemy has changed and adjust your strategy before it actually becomes too late. All right, that's going to be the end of the video for you guys today. I'm sorry that this was a little bit of a longer video. I just had a lot to talk about. There's obviously way more that you can talk about in information gathering. Like, there's so many bits and pieces of information here. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys again for the 50 subs. I know it's not really a designated milestone that a lot of people say it is, but I really like seeing that over 50 number. It's really nice to see. Thank you guys for all your support. You guys have been super, super kind and super, super nice. Let me know if I'm doing anything wrong, or if you guys want me to do something else with this series. I can totally do that. I also love video recommendations. The video recommendations do take me a little bit longer time. I am moving into college the next 2 days, so it is going to be harder for me to get these videos out, but I am planning on working on these videos to hopefully push them out. These videos do take a large portion of my day, about like 2 to 3, maybe sometimes even 4 hours if the video is longer like this one. So I really do appreciate it. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like the video, please click that like button, maybe even subscribe if you're feeling it. And I love checking out what you guys have to say. So drop a comment, and thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.